In the previous chapter, Slayer and Afe had arrived at the Bush Coal village, where they are supposed to clear the monsters near the village to enter it, and once they enter, the villagers will reveal the reason why they are being attacked, which would be that there is a little girl in the village who possesses a body containing holy light. Consequently, they will receive a mission to safely deliver the girl to the Temple of Holy Light. However, as soon as they arrived at the village, everything they had anticipated were all wrong, as the villagers are now pigmen, and somehow, even the key characters and their lines and dialogue had completely changed, which was impossible. With this, they were sure that something was amiss, but since they haven't encountered the NPC that will give them the mission, they decided to follow along. To their surprise, once they have distinguished the said NPC, all the pigmen transformed into a berserk state, and somehow, the pigmen also seem to be immortal, which they shouldn't have such ability. So staying to fight these monsters isn't a smart decision, so they decide to do a tactical retreat, finding refuge in an empty building. To their surprise, Luna was already in the building, but given their shared predicament, they decided to team up. However, they were unsure of their next steps without understanding why the village had undergone such a bizarre transformation, so they turned to the girl they had rescued, to which she revealed that the villagers were originally human, but the pigmen had attacked and replaced them once they discovered she was chosen by the Holy Light. After hearing this tragic story, Afe tried to comfort her, which she appreciated quite so. Unexpectedly, a giant boar had found her, which it didn't hesitate to abduct her on the spot. Even the brothers and Luna wasn't fast enough to react. Now on to the next part. The group was caught off guard by the sudden turn of events, but it seems like the giant boar isn't planning on killing the girl just yet, as it only holds her up high while it continued to laugh menacingly. But Slayer and his companions were not about to let these monsters have their way, and if the girl were to die, the mission would fail, and likely it will affect the world as well, and so they didn't hesitate to attack the giant boar, charging all together to beat the living daylights out of it. However, the boar's enormous size wasn't just for show, as it absorbed their combined attacks with ease and effortlessly swept them aside with a simple swipe of its hand. What's more, like the other pigmen, it healed from its wounds at an astonishing rate, while it revealed a wicked smile as it taunted Slayer's group. Seeing how this unfolded in front of them, the group searched for a way to restrain the boar or find some weakness to exploit, but the boar was relentless, and wouldn't just let them take a second to think, as it attacked them with a crushing downward smash that obliterated the building they had been standing on. Luckily, they were fast enough to dodge the attack, and just before the boar could strike again, Slayer called out to his little brother to cover him while he prepared something, which Afe understood the plan quite well, so he executed the flashiest attack he had in his arsenal, charging at the boar head-on, while making it so that all its attention is only to him, unleashing his fiery comet skill, bombarding the beast with a barrage of fireballs, while Slayer stealthily maneuvered to the boar's blind spot. And due to Afe's relentless attacks, the boar grew increasingly agitated, so even though it still held the girl in its hand, it didn't think twice to attack Afe with the same hand. However, it was still all according to plan, as Slayer appeared in front of it, and used his rending explosive blade to slice open the boar's hand. With this, the girl is now within sight, and so Slayer reached out to save her. However, this boar had a few tricks up its sleeve, as it could spawn underlings within its body, and these new pigmen launched a surprise attack on Slayer. Fortunately, Luna was there to help defend Slayer's rear. With Luna covering him, Slayer could focus on rescuing the girl. But just when they thought they had the upper hand, the boar's arm, on which they were standing on, began to crumble, as it turns out that the boar cleverly decided to transform the entirety of its arm into pigmen, taking them by surprise once again. But now it was evident to Slayer that this colossal boar was, in fact, an amalgamation of all the pigmen, and defeating such a formidable foe is too high of a difficulty for an early mission like this. Therefore, Luna finally realized that slaying this boss wasn't the primary objective of the mission. Instead, their key task was to safely deliver the girl to her intended destination. And now that they are at the same page, they decided to focus on rescuing the girl. In the meantime, they left Afe to deal with the pursuing crowd of pigmen, which he understood. In response, he unleashed a devastating explosion, one that even Megumin would be proud of if she witnessed it. And with with their roles clarified, Slayer and Luna concentrated on tracking down the pig that held the girl. Much to their surprise, this pig turned out to be not only nimble but also quite intelligent, as it abruptly altered its course, leading them into a nearby building, which Slayer and Luna wasted no time in pursuing it. However, upon entering the room, they found that the pig had already dashed to the opposite side. This made Slayer realize that capturing it would be a significant challenge. Not only was it swift, but it is also very familiar with the layout of its environment. But before they could continue the pursuit, he noticed that Luna's attention was drawn to something in the room, and so Slayer turned to see what had captured her interest. And to his surprise, it was the original occupants of the village. They were confined to a cage, malnourished, and seemed to have lost their sanity, mimicking the behavior of pigmen with crazed snorting. And the fact that this virtual game portrayed their suffering so vividly that it was distressingly realistic, Slayer isn't willing to stand by. And so, without any hesitation, Slayer rushed to free them. However, even though the cage was now open, the villagers had endured so much suffering that their humanity appeared irrevocably lost, as they remained unresponsive, continuing to mimic the pigmen, and witnessing this firsthand left a bitter taste in their mouths. And with this, Luna couldn't help but curse at Genesis, believing it was all their fault. This surprised Slayer since he had never heard this name before, and it seems like Luna knows more than he had, and so he inquired Luna about it. However, before she could respond, Afe loudly called out to Slayer, asking his brother to save him because he couldn't hold back the pigmen anymore, as their numbers proved to be more than he could chew. Simultaneously, at a distance, the pig that had captured the girl had put quite some distance between them, leaping nimbly through buildings. Meanwhile, the girl had regained consciousness, but her hopes were dwindling, as she believed her fate was sealed, that she would be devoured. A short while later, the girl found herself held captive in a tall building, while the impatient pig grumbled about the tardiness of the others. Restless and bored, it turned its attention to the girl. As it drew near, it sensed the unmistakable scent of holy light, which heightened its hunger, and so the pig lost all his control, lunging at her, seemingly intent on devouring her alive. However, the girl was no coward. She wouldn't let a monster have its way without a fight, and with this unwavering courage, she manifested a blade made from the holy light and slashed at the pig, which was effective, as it caused the pig to let out an agonized scream. However, this enrages the pig even more, and so the pig resolved to end the girl's life even if it caused them to lose the holy light. But despite the imminent danger, the girl bravely faced her fate, as she believes that she will always be with the holy light no matter what happens to her. Fortunately, just before the pig's attack could land, Slayer acted swiftly, severing the pig's hand from its body. This unexpected intervention left the pig shocked, unable to fathom how Slayer had located them so rapidly. So, it inquired about his methods, but Slayer, seeing no reason to answer a monster, maintained silent. But to make things clear, finding them hadn't been a matter of luck or ease, as they had to simultaneously evade a horde of pigmen while navigating unfamiliar terrain. Nonetheless, Slayer is always prepared, as he possessed a pill capable of rendering them invisible for a limited duration when ingested. This granted them the opportunity to put some distance between themselves and the horde, affording a moment's respite to regroup and strategize. Presently, they faced two primary dilemmas. One is the pig that cannot be killed, and the other is they don't have a single clue on where the girl is now located. But given the unconventional nature of their task, Slayer concluded that it is better to use unconventional methods as well. With this realization, he proceeded to brief Luna and Afe on their next course of action. A while later, the pigmen continued their relentless search for Slayer's group. Unbeknownst to them, one of the pigmen had slipped away and was discreetly indulging in a feast of his own. But with the way he eats, it was bound that someone had figured out what he was doing. Still, even though he was caught, he used all the bullshit he could muster just to get out of his situation. However, this particular pigman, of a somewhat familiar disposition, didn't concern himself with such minor matters. Instead, he offered a warm smile to the pig and reassured him that there was no need for worry, as he had just finished his own meal as well, and since it looks like they would get along quite well, the peculiar boar, in a rather charming way, invited the pig to take a break and engage in a leisurely conversation, and because of the boar's charismatic demeanor, the pig easily accepted the invitation. and so the two of them settled in a secluded place where they could freely chat. Which Slayer didn't waste no time in using his social skill to casually open up his concerns about the trio of adventurers they had recently encountered, as it seemed to be that they are powerful and capable, so there might be a chance that the little girl they have abducted gets taken away from them. The pig, however, was quite confident and dismissed these worries, as he reassured the peculiar boar that there was no reason for concern, since Lao Wang, the fastest among their group, was in charge of the girl, and he is the fastest among their brothers, and he knows every house in the whole village, coupled with the fact that they have so many brothers, so it was just a matter of time before they hunted down those three adventurers, and got to know what they taste like, and with this in mind, he firmly believed that their plans were foolproof. Which the peculiar boar chuckled in agreement, and seeing that this pig doesn't suspect him at all, as it continued to tell him all the secrets it knew freely, Slayer took this opportunity to suggest that they should proceed with their search for the three adventurers, and assemble at the village entrance where the girl was held captive. After all, the three adventurers would undoubtedly aim to rescue her. To which the pig quickly corrected him, stating that the assembly point was, in fact, the clock tower. With this information, Slayer finally obtained what he needed. However, he couldn't afford to let any of the pigs suspect him, and so to divert any suspicion, he offered the pig a friendly smile and made another excuse, blaming it all on the liquor he had consumed. That's why he forgot where they are supposed to assemble. After that, a thunderous explosion happened near their vicinity, startling the pig, while Slayer knew exactly what was happening, as it was his cue to leave the place unnoticed, while his little brother, Afe, creating a loud commotion as he carried Luna, who was fully concealed from head to toe, in order to fool the pigmen that they had already saved the girl, which worked perfectly, as the pigmen wasted no time in chasing them as quickly as they could. With this, Slayer had easily entered the clock tower without much trouble, and now that he is closer to saving the girl, he didn't hesitate to slice Lao Wang into bits, and ran away with the girl. A short while later, Slayer and his team regrouped, making a frantic effort to exit the village while being pursued by a relentless horde of pigmen. Simultaneously, another group of pigmen decided to merge again and launch an attack from above. However, their sizable combined presence cast a noticeable shadow, alerting Slayer and his crew in advance, and so they quickly consumed agility potions, boosting their movement speed by 30% for 30 seconds, which helped them evade the giant boar's attack from above, as it also made it easier to escape the bush coal village. With this, Afe suggested they could now take a break, but due to the strange events that had occurred earlier, Slayer isn't willing to bet on those assumptions, so he proposed that they put some more distance between themselves and the pigmen before they could rest. Which was a smart decision by Slayer, because as they continued to run, they noticed shadows being cast over them. Turning to look at it, they discovered that the pigs had devised an unusual tactic, tossing one another into the air to catch up to Slayer's group. With this, it was clear that their encounter with these fuckers was far from over,